Well, hello and welcome to episode number 375 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, United show off a shiny new interior. A Ryanair passenger decides to try a different kind of seat on a plane, and he feels really flushed. And one airline is selling tickets with fried chicken. And in the military news this week, and I'm just scrolling down because I'm trying to find it. In the military news this week, the State Department's new Black Hawk is in Afghanistan and can prove especially important after withdrawal. And a Philippine military plane crashes with 45 dead, but 49 rescued. So I am not in the BDUK studios this week, but Matt Smith is. So good evening, Matt Smith.
Hello, good. Yes, you're catching me unawares. That was the most. I'll stop talking. You carry on.
I love it. I feel like Matt has just been surprised that he's on an aviation podcast on a Friday night.
Yeah. What are all these buttons that are in front of me? I've got two keyboards. I've got some faders. I got some people on a Zoom call. Why? I feel like I've woken up in a third dimension.
Yes, I had a rather busy day today, so I unfortunately couldn't make it over to the studio to be with Matt. But I would imagine with the temperature outside being 22.3 degrees Celsius here in Bungay, I expect it's probably quite warm in that studio, Matt.
I think the word we're looking for there is muggy. That's the word that we're looking for.
Yeah, it is. It's been a rather warm and muggy day today. I'm expecting some really good quality thunderstorms.
Warm and wet, I think, is the best way to describe that. Warm and wet, yeah, indeed.
So he is back this week, when we are very pleased to have him back with us this week, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back Neville Bounds.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, mate. Well, had a nice week off, quite hectic, excuse me, but yes, had a very nice trip up to Edinburgh on Saturday, and hopefully my chum Matt there might have a picture of the aircraft that I went on. If he's a bit clever with the old digits and what have you. And
my word, you managed the retro.
It's
BA.
the retro BA A319 Golf Echo Uniform Papa Juliet, and of course, when you're inside the aircraft, it looks nothing different
to the other way. Yeah, no,
that's the only thing. So I have borrowed this picture from airhistory.net, and thanks very much to the photographer Richard van der Voorde. That was the only one I could find quickly, but so it was nice. It does look the business when it's sitting on the ramp. I must say.
This shows my naivety really here, because of course the one thing that I don't know, I got it in my head that all the retro ones were all 747s for some reason.
No, they had some 74s, but they've had one A319, which is what that was.
Thank goodness for that then.
Which is great. So yes, first time I've ever been on that. So, but it was doing a lot of the. It always tends to do the domestic routes or Brussels or something like that. But it certainly looks great when it's sitting on the ramp outside. I must say.
Imagine if BA Nev would have put an original retro BA interior in that plane.
Well, yes, in fact, probably more luxurious than the current offering, I would say. But no, it would have been nice, wouldn't it? Yes, gone completely retro inside. Although I'm glad the avionics and all the rest of it are up to today's standards, because that could be challenging, I would say. But great to be back on the show.
Good to have you back, Nev, and glad you had a good trip. So big hello and welcome to our fourth host on the show. He's back with us this week, and he's in a slightly different location this week to what he was last week. I think he's been doing some green fingered work in the garden. So welcome, Armando.
Hey guys, these Zoom backdrops are getting really, really realistic.
It's like moving and everything. It's amazing. I can see people behind you. Look, don't do that. That's inappropriate.
No, I'm on the grounds of Davidson College here, just north of Charlotte. It is a beautiful college campus. It's been here since the 1800s. It's a great place to come hang out. Except I am outside. It is North Carolina in July. Therefore, it is about 90 degrees-ish Fahrenheit. So if you see me melting lower and lower into the screen, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it does look.
And
nice,
apologies for the fire trucks and the people and the police cars in the background at some point, I'm sure.
So how have things been with you, Armando, this week? You've been busy?
Actually, not so much. This was we extended our 4th of July weekend, so we ended up going out to the lake like the last episodes, and we actually didn't come back till Tuesday. So we just did a bunch of lake time and then just hung out at the house. And here we are on Friday again. And tomorrow I'm flying Air Cadets all day long, and then Sunday skydivers. That's the only thing I've done in the air. So other than that, not a whole lot. Yeah.
Blimey. How did the other half live, hey, Matt?
And what happens here, presumably, is because you haven't been in the aircraft for like 3 weeks, you've forgotten how to do it all, I assume. Is that how that works? Right?
You know, thanks to X-Plane 11, I take a few minutes every day and maybe just virtually sit in the cockpit and refamiliarize myself with the 2 airplanes that I actually get paid to fly.
Do seriously though, I mean, because we obviously we're familiar with the whole X-plane thing, and that's fine. But like, as an actual pilot, is that not your idea of your worst nightmare, to sit down in front of a simulator and like? Because I mean, pilots have a bit of a funny thing about simulators, don't they? Because with the recurrent training and stuff that you have to do on a regular basis, etc., etc. Is that not?
It's still a hobby. It's different when you're getting trained or you're going for a check ride, or you have somebody hovering over you that's about to make something red light up in the cockpit. It's different when I'm just sitting there. Genuinely, I like to be a good instrument pilot. It's probably the most challenging thing we do. So I like to sit there and on X-Plane 11 and fly instrument approaches. Specifically, the Pilatus is what I fly the most. And I sit there and go through the motions and just kind of, I'm just short of buying some VR goggles. I'm not quite there yet, but I know I think it'd be great just to remember where everything is in the cockpit, because I'm switching from airplane to airplane between the Pilatus, the DC-3, and the Cessna 182. But then the 182s that I'm flying, the one I'm flying on Saturday is a G1000. The one on Sunday literally has just a small skeleton of a Sparrow. That's the only avionics, because the Sparrow angles into the wind. It's a skydive joke, because skydive airplanes, they take everything out of it. All you need is an airspeed indicator.
Right, okay, fair enough. Nev, have you like talking about sims and stuff? I mean, I know you've had a go like with a couple of the sims when you've been doing bits and pieces for the A320 guys. But I mean, has that ever appealed to you, like flight simulators and things like that?
Yeah, but I think the thing is, when you've got something at home, and probably Carlos will understand this, although Mrs. Carlos won't, is that you erase hours of your day and possibly your life as well. And you think you've been in there for a couple of hours or something like that, and it turns out to be 4 or 6. A bit like video editing, isn't it?
Don't. Me and John can. Well, you've done your fair share of it as well, haven't you? As like, I mean,
I think the problem is that the time just passes you by. But it would be nice to do something at home. But as I say, it's more suitable for the single person rather than the married person.
True.
Or someone that's in a relationship, I would say.
And we still have no idea precisely how Carlos gets away with it. Is the long and the short of it.
So in a few weeks' time, Nev, when you're down this way for the Buckingham Air show, we'll talk about that later. Actually, you'll be having to go on the sim.
Yeah, I will just try it out. But it looks the business, I must say. Looks very very high end.
And this is a question for Armando again. Sorry, we'll move on in a minute. But you were throwing type ratings out there like they were sweeties. How many aircraft can you technically fly?
Oh, that's a funny question. If you are a Patreon supporter, you will have seen a video where I talk a little bit about type ratings. So it's different here in the U.S.
Okay.
Most general aviation aircraft do not require a type rating per se. Maybe the insurance will require some kind of
sign off type thing.
5 hours, 10 hours in that airplane with an instructor, but it's not anything that goes on your license. Now, other countries, Canada, for example, the UK, I think you if you were to fly a Cessna Caravan, you would require what is considered a type rating. It's aircraft specific training. I think that does get documented in some kind of training record somewhere. Here in the US, we don't require a type rating unless the aircraft is 12,500 pounds or more, or carries a certain number of people. There's some special things, but generally that's it. If it's a 12,500 pounds or more, then it requires a type rating. And there's multi-crew things to that, single pilot exemptions, like a Cessna Citation, you can get a type rating that's single pilot, blah blah blah. So I guess the answer to your question is it's limitless here in the US.
I thought you were doing a really good job there of skillfully not answering my question for me. Sign him up as a politician quickly.
I mean, it's an educational and entertainment podcast, but legally I could jump in any airplane, single engine land or multi-engine land and go fly it, as long as it doesn't specifically require a type rating. So if you've got one, bring it.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. I've monopolized far too much of the time here. I guess we should go back to Carlos and do what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it is. It is obviously, there's times like this when we're doing the show when there's certain things that we have to talk about in the show, because it's sad times, and we had some sad news last weekend. I think most of the community will know what happened with one of our very good friends in the community, Launchpad, Mazari, who sadly passed away in a crash. It was last weekend, and over in the US. I'm pretty sure that most people would have heard of Brad, or Launchpad, I should say, as he preferred to be called, because he did prefer to be called Launchpad. I know some of the geeks got told off a few times for calling him Brad. But I think I speak for all of us here at the team at PTUK when we, send our condolences to obviously his wife and family. And he's will be a very sad missed person in the community, because for anyone who listens to the Airplane Geeks, he's been a contributor on there for quite some time, and he's had some really, really fantastic stories over the last few years, which has brought the show about his Focke-Wulf, and also about his involvement with promoting aviation for young people, which has been a very big part of his life, and he'll be very, very sadly missed. And yeah, it's very touching, the comments that were made on the Airplane Geeks latest show. It was nice to hear how popular and how loved Launchpad was within the community.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't already caught up with it, I'm sure most of you have done, give the Airplane Geeks a listen. Episode, John's just going to remind me in my ear what episode number, 660, episode 660. And it's a very lovely tribute, which I implore anybody who remembers him fondly to give it a listen. And especially Micah's piece, actually, that was particularly moving from my perspective, at least. So, yes, our thoughts and prayers are with his entire family.
Yes, indeed. You will be missed, Brad. And I think it's all finished with frequency change approve. Good day. Which is how he always used to say.
Love
so
it.
Sign off. So yes, and moving on. So we're going to acknowledge all our wonderful family in the YouTube chat room this evening. Loads of faces in there. Some old faces which have popped in this week, have been missing for a while. We've got Miles High in there. We've got Nick Codling. Hello. Our main man, Uncle Micah, is in there. Arnie Carlson. Hello to you, Arnie. Captain Cruz has been providing some quite good comments this evening. Richard Adams is also in there. Tony S. Hello to you, Tony. Lee Davies is also back in there this week. Good to see you back, Lee. Tanya is also in there. Hello to you, Tanya. Rakon. Mazouz Karim. Hello to you, Mazouz. Hope you're well. One of our local listeners, actually, Mazouz is.
He's in Norwich.
He's in Norwich. He is. Yeah. We need to get a meet up soon with.
We do, absolutely. I want to say Nev was there this week.
He was, yeah. Greg Masterson. Hello to you, Greg. First time joining the live chat. So well done, Greg. Glad to have you.
My commiserations in advance. Yes.
Just scrolling down, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Rakon, Lee Davis, and Sturman. Garth has joined us in there. Hello to you, Garth. Only a few hours ago, I actually saw him. So welcome to one
again.
And all.
My apologies to Garth.
Welcome to one and all, and don't forget, if you are listening to the show as an audio show and you fancy joining us on the YouTube stream, just take yourselves over to YouTube, search Plain Talking UK, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and also the bell icon next door to be notified when we go live and we are recording new episodes like we are, because we'd love to have you with us on the show in the chat room, because the chat room is what makes the show, guys.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk air shows, if I may, please, Carlos, because you guys are off to one very soon.
Yeah, Nev, where are we going soon?
We are going. I know it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
That we're going to an air show.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Yeah.
It's the Old Buck Air Show, Old Buckingham, over at is it Norfolk or Suffolk?
Yeah, it's Norfolk. Yeah, it's in Norfolk. Yeah.
And it's going to be on the 31st of July and the 1st of August. That's the Saturday and Sunday of the show. Carlos and I will be there on the 31st of July, and maybe if we can persuade Matt or somebody else to come along as well, then they're very welcome. We will have the PTUK camera equipment and recording equipment.
We will.
So we'll be doing some pictures, some interviews and all the rest of it. So if you fancy coming along, just look up the Old Buckingham Air Show on the internet, the old Google. And I think there's tickets still available.
I'm
they
just
were limited
looking.
last time I looked. But there may still some be available, possibly.
Yeah, tickets
so
are still available.
If you're coming along, yeah, that'd be great. We'll look forward to seeing as many people as possible. So we'll be there checking out the catering stalls.
Of course,
as
absolutely.
we tend to do. Yes.
Those are the important rules.
Yeah, tickets are still available, but they are. I think it won't be long before they are sold out.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd be great to see if anyone in the chat room or anyone listening to the audio show is local or in the area and coming to the show. Make sure you look out for me and Nev and Nev's big camera, which you'll have. And actually, it'll be nice to have Nev down this neck of the woods with us for a weekend.
Well, yes, quite. Okay, shall we crack on?
Let's start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from across the world and the UK. So if all the team are ready.
Born ready.
Now, Nev, we've got an update, haven't we, on a certain ditching that we had last Friday?
Yes, interesting information here. This is on the airlinerwatch.com. It's updated details on the transair flight 810 ditching that was breaking last Friday. Well, as the 46-year-old jet climbed at the start of the planned 24-minute trip on Friday, one of its engines cut out. The relatively routine failure turned tense as Transair Flight 810 began to lose altitude whilst its flight crew attempted to return for a landing, according to a recording of air traffic radio calls posted by liveatc.net. The pilot radioed, "We're going to lose the other engine too. It's running very hot. We're low on speed. It doesn't look good." Well, a controller at the international airport told the crew the airport fire department had been alerted, and the pilot replied, "You need to let the Coast Guard know." Minutes later, the controller said, "It looks like they went down in the water." Well, that triggered a dramatic rescue off the coast of Oahu as two pilots who may have experienced a rare dual-engine failure struggled to survive. The US Coast Guard located the 737 in a debris field at about 2:30 a.m., roughly 50 minutes after the initial alert. We saw a man waving his hand from the tail of the aeroplane, said Lieutenant Gleb Borovok, a Coast Guard crewman on the MH-65 Dolphin helicopter that arrived on scene in an interview with Hawaii News Now. Next, we saw another man floating on a bed of cargo. Well, the rescuers initially focused on the pilot clinging to the packages, but then the tail of the aircraft started to sink, thrusting the man who had been perched there into the water. The helicopter deployed a swimmer and hoisted the transair pilot aboard. The transair aviator on the packages was picked up by a Honolulu Fire Department rescue boat amid seas as high as 5 feet and winds of up to 17 miles per hour. Both aviators were injured and rushed to Honolulu's Queen's Medical Center. One of them, who was 58, was in intensive care in a critical condition, according to Hawaii News Now. The other, who's 50, was in a serious condition with a head injury and multiple lacerations, the news outlet said. Both aviators have since been discharged from hospital, which is incredible if you think about this. Only happened a week ago. But ditching of a 737, my goodness me, that's to
and in the water
survive that is absolutely incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and in the water as well. That's
and at night.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, this is not great job by the crew, and like you guys are saying, and everybody in the chat room is saying, it's amazing that these guys made it out. Well, put the airplane in the water in such a manner at night to
Safely,
keep it to keep it together enough to get out of it. 2, that they survived out there bobbing on the water, and 3, what a testament to the rescue forces out there, the Coast Guard and the fire department, the Honolulu Fire Department, because they're doing a night rescue is never easy when you're deploying a rescue swimmer. Now, my cousin is a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. He's been one for 21 years now, and to me, jumping into the water at night in the middle of a plane crash, a debris field where you have fuel, lots of jagged metal, 5-foot waves and 17-mile-per-hour winds, and that's probably calm for Coast Guard rescue swimmers. But just what a testament to the rescue and the first responder crews out there. I know there's a lot of criticism surrounding this incident already from air traffic control. There was a lot of there will be some lessons learned from this one. There was some confusion with a transair 809 and a transair 810, similar flight numbers, and then there was a lot of communications that were stepped on back and forth. So sure, we can always find the criticism in something, but just an amazing job by the pilots and the first responders, and a huge shout out to our Coast Guard, to our coasties out there who do this on a regular basis, and the fire department, first responders. So outstanding job.
Absolutely.
And obviously a good outcome, because obviously, like we said, both pilots are okay. So
and that's the most amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah, very good. So yeah, good update there. And moving on to story number 1, United, this is from travelweekly.com and businessinsider.com. United Airlines touts new interior as upgrade for passengers. Some great pictures actually that were on a lot of the news feeds for these new interiors. But United Airlines on Tuesday unveiled the new aircraft interior that it plans for to feature on its entire mainline narrow-bodied fleet by early 2025. The new carrier took delivery of its first 737 MAX 8 on June the 28th and displayed it for the media at a Newark airport hangar on Tuesday. The plane will take to the skies no later than the 15th of July, and the 2-cabin aircraft offers first-class cabin with 37 inches of pitch, the space between rows in the main cabin. Economy Plus seats have either 34 or 33 inches of pitch, and economy seats have 30-inch pitch. First class is comprised of 16 recliner seats, arranged in a typical 2-2 configuration. Each seat is equipped with a new 13-inch high-definition touchscreen entertainment system and tethered remote control, which you can always use if you don't like the touchscreens, is also included with every seat. Despite the new screens, tray tables will still include device holders for those that prefer to use a mobile device for entertainment. Next comes the economy cabin, split between 54 extra legroom economy plus seats and 96 standard economy seats. A unique feature of United's system is that flyers can pair Bluetooth headphones, such as AirPods, into the seat. All seats will also have in-seat power through a 110-volt AC power outlet under the seat, and also USB charging ports on the screens. The plane also has LED mood lighting, which United executives say will be adjusted according to the time of day to ease the flying experience. And a key feature of the new MAX aircraft is larger overhead bins, which United say the plane has enough bin space to stow a full-size carry-on for each passenger on the aircraft, which is quite a bold claim. As we all know, those who rush on board an aircraft and try and find somewhere to stow your carry-on luggage, if you're the last person on the aircraft, especially if it's a low-cost carrier, not mentioning any names, Matt will bring that up in story 2, will be a tight squeeze to fit your suitcase in. So you'll probably be sitting in seat number, I don't know, row 32, and your suitcase or your hand luggage will probably be
I'm
Mm.
in.
not familiar with that row number.
Sorry, Nev. Sorry.
The what now? Yeah.
But I tell you what, guys. I mean, Nev, you love your tech. Matt, you love your tech as well. And
I am familiar with the concept, yes.
The whole idea of being able to pair your Bluetooth headphones.
That is a nice
with
touch,
the
actually.
IV.
Yeah, that's a really nice touch. I was very lucky that for a birthday present last year before, anyway, got some very, very nice Sony headphones, and the sound on them is absolutely incredible. It's one of those, isn't it, where the ability to just sort of dial into that. I mean, that must cause, I don't know quite how you would localize it enough for there not to be somebody accidentally pairing the wrong screen with the, because if you've got a person like one row down accidentally pairing I don't know, it just sounds
What do you mean if you've got 50 people trying to pair iPods with...
Well, this is it. This is where I'm going with this, essentially, because although I think, to be fair, the AirPods do actually have your name attached to them when you try to pair to them, so I don't think it'll be the issue that it would be. But if you've got like generic headphones and stuff, you think, oh, they're mine.
Are you a fan of headphone Bluetooth headphones, Nev?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think that the thing is that they're trying with each new generation of aircraft. It's all about weight saving and therefore fuel saving, and they're trying to do anything they possibly can to reduce the weight of IFE, I think, because it is a substantial amount. But passengers do want it, no matter almost what duration that the flight is. So I think this kind of facility, I think, is great, and I think you'll probably see other airlines rolling it out as well.
Well, I think the only person out of all of us who's going to get a chance to see this anytime soon will be Armando.
Yeah. Hi, guys. This is Jim Cantore reporting live for the Weather Channel. I don't know if you can tell behind me or not, but out of nowhere here in North Carolina, I'm sitting at a picnic table. My car is actually getting worked on. And there's a thunderstorm. Matt, I sent you a picture.
Yes, I have it. Yes. I'll try to get it across, actually. You keep talking.
So, out of nowhere, it was calm and beautiful, and out of nowhere, it is now starting to rain at the other end of the parking lot. The winds are about 30 miles per hour. You can see the trees behind me are swaying. So if you're in Davidson, go ahead and go inside and take some shelter from the thunder and the lightning. I may need to check off the podcast for a little bit and find a safe place to go hide. When Matt pops that picture up, I'm going to be quiet because the wind is kicking up, but I'm the blue dot in front of the red amoeba. So
we're going to see that Armando is reporting himself safe very shortly, I'm sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and chalk this up to a terrible idea for podcasting for the day.
Oh my goodness me! Right, okay, just give me 2 seconds. Here we go.
Lee Davies in the chat room. Armando says, "For God's sake, don't open an umbrella."
No, quite.
I'm sitting under one.
Yeah. Oh, that may be a problem.
He was. Oh, blimey.
Here we go. I've got the picture now. Just 2 seconds. Sorry, we're having a technical glitch.
Oh,
trying to
God, it just fell over.
Oh, my gosh. Right. Oh.
All right. If you're listening to the audio podcast, I love you all. This has been great. It's been a great run on the show.
Rakon says, it's only a green screen. Calm down, everyone.
Right.
Well,
there you go. There's the picture.
Look title for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're watching. For those who are watching on the YouTube channel, I'm just going to, or listening, sorry, on the audio version, I'm just going to describe this. So we have a picture which is a little blue dot right in the middle of where Armando is, and essentially around him. Well, in fact, the one on the left there looks like it's quite a nasty little storm that's about to come over.
That's the one that's trickling its way towards me. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is good. This is good, entertaining audio. One of my favorite things for listening to any podcast is when things go wrong, and I'm gonna go ahead and chalk this one up because my screen is now getting wet, as am I. So I'm gonna check off for a little bit and check back in with you guys.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, lovely. Okay.
Thank you for that update, Armando, on the weather.
We're in the weather channel. This is very exciting. Yeah.
Boy, that really did fall over as soon as you guys talked about the umbrella.
It's like,
okay. Continue on.
Okay.
So,
good luck. Yes.
Hopefully we'll have Armando back with us soon. He'll be with us here in the studio, I expect.
Yeah, this right.
But Matt, you've got a story next about our favourite low-cost carrier.
Indeed, yes, absolutely. Now, before I give you the heading and stuff, I want to make clear here that before we get into this article, let's just keep in mind that in every case which the word evacuation is used in this piece, let's think of it instead as a deboarding. A fine example of news outlets, even aviation ones, making things way more dramatic than they actually need to be. So brace yourselves, everyone. This one is probably going to make Nev's blood boil. So here we go. The headline is Evacuation of a Ryanair plane at Brussels airport after a passenger boarded without documents and locked himself in a toilet. This is on the aviation24.be website, and the story goes: a passenger caused mayhem on a Ryanair, that technically a Malta Air flight, plane registered 9 Hotel Quebec Delta Sierra, on Thursday morning around 8:30 at Brussels Airport. The man who boarded the flight, Foxtrot Romeo 2963 to Milan, without the necessary documents, locked himself in the toilet. Federal police officers intervened to arrest the individual. The plane was then evacuated for examination. Federal police confirm the facts and indicate that the individual had boarded the aircraft without the necessary documents. The man caused some trouble in the plane. He pushed passengers and locked himself in the toilet. We were finally able to call him out without a problem, because the man had left luggage on the plane as well. Everyone had to leave the plane so that we could carry out a check, a police spokesperson explained. Passengers had to wait an hour on the airport tarmac. Finally, the Ryanair plane was able to take off for Milan at 10 o'clock, 1 hour and 20 minutes late. So there you go. That is the story. So
Not much in the way of evacuation there, is there?
No, quite. This is the odd scenario here, really. I mean, it's just like the bit that worries me is like, how on earth did he get anywhere near the damn thing without any paperwork? That's my alarm bell. That's my takeaway from this particular story. I don't have a problem with the way it was handled on board, etc., etc. But I don't even know how he got there without the appropriate paperwork.
I mean, that does happen occasionally, doesn't it? From time to time, if something's gone wrong at the check-in desk or the boarding gate or whatever it is. But yeah, but actually to go then hide in the toilet which I think initially was an interesting approach, but
Yes.
obviously he hadn't thought it through because there's only one way out.
Quite, yes. Only the one
local
door. Yeah.
Police are going to open the door, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah, and my understanding is cabin crew have the ability to open the door from the outside because that's a requirement of their safety procedures. If I'm correct, I may be correct. Laura Davis is saying that maybe he had a clipboard. You can accomplish a lot with a clipboard and looking confident.
Very true.
Good point.
Very
Good
true.
point. Well
Actually,
made. That and a high vis.
Good point.
Yeah.
High vis jacket, clipboard,
Yeah.
and a Motorola radio, and you can go anywhere.
You can
in
pretty
that
much
space.
go anywhere with an airport. Yeah, absolutely. No, please don't. Please don't do that unless you're an official. This is an official PT UK warning. Do not do that. Oh dear. Well, there we go. So yes, a happy outcome, thank goodness. But wow.
Just as well they didn't poo-poo the idea.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh my.
Moving on to the next story, and Nev, this is quite an interesting story.
It is. It's on the Derbyshire Telegraph.co.uk, and it says that Rolls-Royce has teamed up with Jaguar Land Rover as the engineering giant bids to set a new world record by flying the fastest ever all-electric plane. The firm, which has a UK site in Derby, is attempting to hit the 300 miles per hour mark with its Spirit of Innovation aircraft, which completed its first runway taxiing tests earlier this year. Jaguar Land Rover is loaning Rolls-Royce several all-electric, zero-emission Jaguar I-Pace cars as towing and support vehicles for the world record bid, Business Live reports. Rolls-Royce said that the Spirit of Innovation's electric propulsion system would use 500 horsepower, with its battery providing enough energy to fuel 250 homes or fly from London to Paris on a single charge. The technology for the plane has been developed at Gloucestershire Airport by the ACCEL, or Accelerating the Electrification of Flight programme. Partners include Oxford-based electric motor and controller manufacturer YASA and aviation startup Electroflight in Gloucestershire. Half of the project's funding is being provided by the Aerospace Technology Institute in partnership with the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy and Innovate UK. Rob Watson, who's the director of Rolls-Royce Electrical, said that the company was delighted Jaguar Land Rover was loaning it cars for the attempt. Rolls-Royce and JLR are UK pioneers who are focused on advancing electrical technology for their respective sectors, he said. It's important to us that the Accel programme is carbon neutral, and this will be supported by having all electric cars for ground support. Rawdon Glover, who's JLR's UK managing director, said that we're delighted to be supporting another great British pioneer, Rolls-Royce, and their team as the Spirit of Innovation aircraft brings electrified aviation into the nation's psyche with this incredible 300 mile an hour record attempt. Another one for the PTO UK camera team, I think. When we can get out on that properly.
Well, quite.
But, sounds interesting, isn't it? Really interesting.
I was going to say, sounds is one of the things that is going to be not producing much.
Yeah.
of, I said.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean that's a long enough flight to I feel that's a long enough flight to start getting excited. Do you know what I mean? I know there's still a long way to go. But yeah, I'm sort of quite excited about this story actually. It's more about the speed. I'm being told apparently it's more about the speed and stuff, which is, but it's going to be fast, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. The one thing that you can never take away from like electric engines and stuff is the torque, isn't it? I mean, you literally hit a button. There's none of this sort of like slowly getting up to speed, is it? I mean, it's on off. Really cool. I mean, I'm really excited about this. Really am.
I wonder how much that is to purchase.
I mean, I don't think we should do. No, let's gloss over that and move on. Yeah, probably quite a lot of money as sponsor. As it's being sponsored by Jaguar and Rolls-Royce, probably quite a lot.
So moving on to the next story, and this one comes from the airlinegeeks.com, flightglobal.com as well, and Gulf Air GF215 experiences incident at Kuwait International Airport. So Gulf Air Flight 215 was operating a routine service from Bahrain to Kuwait on the 5th of July, taking off 29 minutes late at 16:34 and flying 50 minutes to its destination. However, it experienced a minor incident during the landing that forced an emergency evacuation of the jet. The aircraft landed 27 minutes late on runway 33 left at 17:22 and exited on to taxiway W5 when it turned onto the taxiway W1 where the evacuation occurred. No fatalities or injuries of the 62 passengers and 7 crew on board were had. The nature of the incident is still unknown, though the air ground communications archived by the live ATC suggest the crew had downgraded a mayday call to a pan urgency call short before landing and referred to a high temperature in the cargo. But for the reason for the evacuation was not what we wanted to focus on. Instead, we look at an article from Flight Global this week, headlined "Straying Passengers Cause Chaos After Gulf Air A321 Evacuation in Kuwait." So passengers evacuating an Airbus A321 at Kuwait appeared to have caused operational disruption, including forcing a go-around after straying towards an active runway. The A321 crew advised tower controllers that they would be evacuating the aircraft on the taxiway after it arrived on runway 33 left as the GF 215 service from Bahrain on the 5th of July. Subsequent air-to-ground communications appear to indicate that disorientated passengers began heading for the runway. Isn't quite what we know we want to head to a runway for. But anyway, the crew of a landing Kuwaiti Airways A320neo operating KU 1742 contacted the tower to advise that passengers were evacuating the Gulf Air flight when they were walking onto the runway. He said they don't know where they're going, the crew added. Controllers responded by ordering another Kuwaiti Airways A320neo on approach, which was KU 614, to execute a go-around because there were people on the runway. The tower also asked whether the crew of the Kuwaiti aircraft, having landed, could shut off the aircraft's engines, concerned about the possibility that people might be walking in its vicinity. Gulf Air acknowledges a minor incident involving the flight without elaborating and says the evacuation was a precautionary measure. So, yeah, I think one of the places when you evacuate an aircraft you don't want to be running towards is a running engine, or you kind of want to run to a building or
yes, that would be suboptimal, wouldn't it? I think that this is something which is probably underestimated by the average member of the public, in that actually evacuating the aircraft, okay, you could sustain some injuries and all the rest of it, but the worst bit for the authorities is to contain the passengers within a sensible area, either on the runway or the taxiway, wherever things have happened, and things can get out of control very quickly, I would imagine. So this would have come as quite a shock, I would have thought, and lots of lessons learned here, I would imagine, because the natural instinct for people probably is
panic,
is to run in all sorts of directions.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, on the one hand, I'm kind of hoping I never find myself in that situation. Where I find out Tony S is saying that you'd think all aircraft movements would be halted if there were passengers loose on the airfield. And that's a good point, actually. That is a good point. You'd have thought that would have been brought to a standstill, literally. Miles
High makes a good point. Actually, people have been run over by the fire engines sometimes in crashes. That was the one at San Francisco. The
really
the 777. Oh, I'm trying to think of the airline now. Refresh my memory. Asiana, that's it. Asiana Airlines 777. Yeah, that was. I think it was 2 people, or one person was killed by a fire engine. Yeah, but I think it's one of those things where, as soon as you evacuate, you take note of what's been said by the crew and by the.
But also, this what you're saying there, though. I mean, because this evacuation did take place at an airport. So you'd have thought the first thing that they would have done is shut down all movements, because they didn't. There was no guarantee it wasn't going to burst into flames or anything like that. You'd have thought the first thing they'd do was close the runway. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding something. It's entirely plausible.
Anyway, Matt, you've got another interesting story actually about something we don't talk about all that often on the show, haven't you? Volocopters?
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Let's find out together, shall we? It was a CAE Volocopter collaborate on eVTOL. This is going to be horrendous. ETOL. You like an acronym, don't you? Nev likes an acronym. Yeah, so it's eVTOL. I'm going to say VTOL.
eVTOL.
Yeah, eVTOL. I don't really know. Yeah. And it's basically spelled Echo. eVTOL, I'll be right.
Or as Laura Davies says in the chat room,
yes,
Velociraptors.
Yes, I like that. Yeah. Yes, that works. Yes. So this is all about the Velociraptor. Then it's a collaborative eVTOL pilot training. So Volocopter and Aviation Training Group CAE are partnering to develop, certify, and deploy a pilot training program to support the launch of commercial eVTOL. Operations in 2024. The company's announced today. The agreement commits CAE to invest up to $40,000. What's that? What on earth can I hear? Anyway, oh, right. Okay. Sorry, it was coming through the talkback. That confused me. Oh dear. Shall we give up on this story already? Right, okay. As you were. So the agreement commits CAE to invest up to $40 million to meet Volocopter's projected demand for the eVTOL pilots in the early years of operations. The Canada-based group will deploy training, equipment and instructors through a global partnership, with the initial training services expected to be provided outside Europe. Meanwhile, Germany-based Volocopter has agreed to purchase a simulator from CAE to be used in its pilots training program certification. According to the company, this simulator will be developed specifically for eVTOL aircraft operations and will be equipped to train pilots to fly any of Volocopter's in-development vehicles, including the two-seat VoloCity and the larger VoloConnect models. To develop simulators, the overall training program CAE says it will employ new technologies including artificial intelligence, virtual reality, mixed reality, and data analytics. The company will be responsible for developing all coursework for training Volocopter pilots and will provide trainees with customized resources. Through its collaboration with CAE, Volocopter will continue to work with aviation regulators to establish experience requirements for pilots. The company indicated that it intends to recruit and train both experienced and new pilots. So, very exciting. I'm not really sure what. So I feel like I've got to the end of this article and I still don't know what a Volocopter is. Volocopter is presumably the company, isn't it? Is that correct? Somebody tell me.
So a Volocopter, if you can imagine, like imagine a small little helicopter like we see up at Beccles, up at Ella, which you might see in the air, like the little tiny one, the training one they use, and the Volocopters can have like an array of rotors on top, small rotor blades all the way around in like a circle. So it'd be like say four like small engines, four small electric engines,
right? One
in each corner. So rather than having one big blade.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But basically, like a drone.
So
but
imagine like a big drone with a helicopter kind of slung underneath, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I like the sound of it.
That's the easiest explanation of how I could say that that's like. But
I see. Hang on. I'm just trying to. It's not going to work, is it? I was going to try and pop it up on the screen, but my computer's being an absolute.
Actually, we had an update in on the Teams chat.
Oh, have we? Yes.
From Armando.
Oh, yes.
And
is he all right?
Yeah, they're having a rather heavy downpour where Armando is at the moment.
Right. Okay.
So I think he's probably up to his knees in
rain
water.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah,
lovely.
Hopefully.
There we go.
Nev,
So, hang on, I've got a little picture here. So because we haven't got this. This is essentially what we're talking about here. Is one of those? Is that?
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one. That's the
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the Velocity. That's one of the little the ones they were talking about. It's basically just a massive drone, isn't it?
It is, but like this story does say, though, when you're going to fly this, you are going to need to have a specific training to be able to fly these.
Yeah.
Because there's not millions of these in the air.
Well, no,
with,
quite. Indeed.
Loads of people. So it's going to be something that needs to be looked at, I think, when it comes to training.
Okay.
So Nev, we're going to Dubai for this next story.
I wish we were going to Dubai.
But
sadly, we're not. This is on the ihaviationandtravel.com website. It says that Emirates simplifies arrivals and departures in Dubai with the launch of Airport Ease and Airport Ease Plus. Well, the UAE flag carrier Emirates has launched a new service that will allow Emirates Holidays customers to move more seamlessly through Dubai International Airport. Through its recently introduced Airport Ease and Airport Ease Plus packages, travellers can now be treated to a VIP and hassle-free experience upon both arrival and departure, something which I didn't have the last time I was there.
Right.
With Carlos. The smaller of the packages is Airport Ease, which starts from 499 dirhams, which is £98 sterling. This is valid for 2 people and up to 4 bags. It includes a dedicated meet and greet before immigration, as well as a fast-tracked and personalised escort through the arrivals hall.
Ooh.
Furthermore, it includes Emirates' signature chauffeur drive service in a BMW 5 Series for transportation to a hotel or home. The airline says it'll do the legwork on baggage handling and collection. Meanwhile, the slightly more premium Airport Ease Plus package is available from 1,199 dirhams, which is £235 sterling. Also valid for 2 people and up to 4 bags. The passengers are met at the arrival gate. They then receive a 1-to-1 escort and a dedicated fast track through immigration and security. The BMW 5 Series chauffeur service is available both to and from the airport, as is baggage collection and delivery to an address in Dubai. Ease Plus also includes departure services. Emirates Holidays customers can then check in from a home or hotel anywhere in Dubai, complete all the formalities and have their luggage transferred to the airport. This means that they may head directly to immigration and bypass any check-in related queues. It also includes the use of the Mahaba Lounge at Dubai International Airport. Speaking of lounges, Emirates also announced this week it'll be reopening its dedicated first-class lounge in Dubai International Airport for the first time since March 2020. So that's good stuff. Just to let you know as well that those package prices that I mentioned are introductory prices only for the month of July. After that, there'll be 529 and 1,249 dirhams for the Ease and Ease.
What's that in sterling roughly?
It's going to be around about. The introductory price is £98, 499 dirhams, and the Ease Plus is 1,199 dirhams, which is £235.
So what's when it goes to its like full prices? I mean, what is that going to be roughly in? About 240.
It's probably I mean, it's frankly speaking, it's not a massive saving, but it's probably around about 150, 250 pounds.
But it seems like quite a cool service. Do you know? I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of money for that service, if you see what I mean. So, that whole door, £245 I'm being told in my ear. But for that door to door where they come and collect your cases, take it away from you, and all that kind of thing. I mean, if you were paying for that, like, it doesn't seem like, I don't know. Perhaps I'm missing something, but it doesn't seem like that much money. I feel like if you were going to invest in a first class ticket, then that doesn't seem like a lot of money.
If you're paying the premium service, you might as well go the whole hog and do that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, have you ever flown with Emirates, Nev? I know you're a BA guy.
Let me think. Yes, I did once on the way back from. No, was it on the way? No, it was on the way to Dubai. 19. Let me think. Sorry, 2006. I think it was, to a show there. So yes, that was an Emirates A330. I think it was then.
Okay.
But, yeah, very nice flight. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good.
Actually, me and John were talking about this last night in the production meeting, and we're saying how if we can't all afford business fares with airlines such as Emirates, because it's a few £1,000s and then some. But if you can have that kind of level of service before you head to your economy seat, but still have that, fast track and the chauffeur service and all the other add-ons that the business class fare gets, I think it's quite a nice touch before you go on your holidays.
I agree. Yeah. Especially, as I say, if you're treating yourself to business class or first class, I feel like that's a nice sort of like a real treat. This is the thing. Apparently you get them in business and first anyway. So even just as in sort of in economy class, I suppose.
And plus, don't forget as well, none of us like queues. So if you can fast track the security in the queues,
true that.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah, true that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next story now. And this one, the headline is FAA proposes $119,000 in additional fines as unruly behaviour on flights skyrockets. So the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, is levying 9 airline passengers with potential fines totaling $119,000 as reports of unruly behaviour on flights continues to skyrocket. The 9 individual fines, ranging from $7,500 to $21,500, were proposed by the FAA after the passengers allegedly interfered with flight attendants who instructed passengers to obey cabin crew instructions and various federal regulations, the FAA said in a statement on Tuesday. The passengers were accused of assaulting the flight crew and other passengers, drinking alcohol that was brought on board the plane and refusing to wear face masks, the FAA said. In one reported case, an Alaska Airlines passenger even called 911 as the passenger that was a British thing. I nearly said 999 there. As the plane was about to depart from Seattle to Alaska on January the 23rd, saying that the aircraft was being hijacked, according to the FAA. Now, that's not funny, however you dress that up. During the call, the passenger allegedly told the 911 dispatcher that one of the flight attendants was being held at knife point near the front of the plane and repeatedly asked the dispatcher to stop the flight, according to the FAA. Then, while at the cargo ramp, the passenger called the FBI and made mention of a bomb, forcing the aircraft to be taken out of service and screened for bombs, according to the FAA. All of the passengers and crew members also underwent additional screening as a result of the passengers' comments, they said. These behaviours are considered violations of federal regulations under the FAA zero tolerance policy. The policy was adopted in January after the agency saw a disturbing increase in incidents where airline passengers have disrupted flights with threatening or violent behaviour, the FAA said. Since the 1st of January, the FAA received 3,271 reports of unruly behaviour, around 2,475 of which were reports of passengers refusing to wear masks. Masks, according to the federal officials, are still required on planes, buses, trains and other forms of public transportation travelling into, within or out of the United States. They are also required in transportation hubs such as airports, as well as train and bus stations, according to the FAA and the Transport Security Administration. To date, the agency has identified over 500 potential violations and initiated enforcement action in 83 cases. In total, the FAA has proposed more than $682,000 worth of fines against unruly passengers. I find this a really disturbing story almost. I mean, half of me's thinking, how on earth did that guy have the FBI's telephone number in his phone in the first place? That's an interest. I mean, I assume that's not something you can't just phone the FBI, can you? I don't know. This is where I wish we had Armando, because you might be able to answer those questions.
They've got a central number that you could call, but it's abnormal, isn't it?
Yes. I suspect he Googled it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I wonder when people are going to stop.
I mean, unruly passengers on planes are not a new phenomenon, are they? And,
no, they're not.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the UK, where we're talking about relaxing some of the restrictions on mask wearing later in July, and that it may become optional in some cases, but I'm sure that the airlines will want to enforce their own rules, because you're flying on their equipment and therefore it's their train set, so you'll do as you're told. I think that there's going to be more instances of this kind of thing.
And do you know what, Nev, that's an absolutely brilliant analogy. So Rakon is saying a trapdoor into the cargo department could be standard. I think that's an excellent idea. But actually that's an excellent analogy, to be fair, Nev, you know, that you say essentially, you know, this is the airline's train set, for want of a better word, and it's just like, regardless of your personal feelings, if the airline who own the aircraft and are going to be taking you from A to B say you must wear a face mask, I literally do not understand why anybody would say, but I don't want to, because it's like, well, those are the rules.
Yes.
You know, and I understand until recently, obviously, we didn't have to do that, and you know, but there is also something like, although I'm beginning to wonder if our own government has sort of forgotten about it, but we do actually appear to be in some kind of pandemic at the moment.
Yes.
I had heard rumours to that effect. But I must admit, I don't want to be political here, but I must admit I am finding it very unnerving, the fact that essentially when we get to, is it the 19th of July here in the UK, where essentially that's it, no masks are required or anything like that. I do find that very surprising. I'm excited about the lifting of restrictions, but at the same time I'm a little bit surprised that we don't, you know, I suppose there's nothing to stop me from wearing a mask if I want to, actually, to be fair.
Yeah,
is there? I think that's the common
I think
sense.
a lot of people will continue to do just that. I don't see a problem with that at all. But I think just to pick up on your point, I think the government is probably trying to do something during the summer where the risks are slightly less before we get into a winter situation.
Yeah.
And of course, also they're talking about having a possible flu problem as well, because everybody's been, you know, not exposed to that at all.
No, because we've literally been living in our own little bubbles, haven't we? So yes,
absolutely.
indeed.
But nonetheless, when you get on an aircraft, do as you're told.
Absolutely.
That's the rules of the engagement, isn't it?
I literally don't understand why it's an issue. So, Tony's saying that why don't they stop serving alcohol, especially in these times when things are really difficult. I completely agree with you there. I mean, don't get me. I mean, this is the thing. Sorry. A Miles High is saying, I've been on a jet at 39,000 feet. And watched a drunk, enraged passenger attempt to open a door until he was beaten down. Wow.
Yeah, good luck with that
one.
one.
Wouldn't have succeeded with that anyway because of the differential pressure. But nonetheless, for those people that don't know about that,
well, yeah,
that is an alarming sight. Isn't
and
it?
it would scare the living bejesus out of me. There's no two ways about that. That would absolutely...
Never used to get this in the days of Ryanair and Freddie Laker, Nev.
Ah, yes,
no. I agree, and I think the problem is that there is an alcohol issue sometimes, or maybe people are on some prescribed drugs, and you know there's a problem with that, or they've mixed it with alcohol or something like that. But I feel sorry for the flight crew all the time, the cabin crew specifically, that have to deal with these situations. It must be pretty unpleasant, and you can't plan for every situation.
No, you can't. And this is the thing. And I think going back to your point of like Ryanair and stuff, though, Carlos, I think you're talking about a time back then where flying was a privilege. I think we're in a, you know, it is in one way it's great because, you know, flying is now considered one of life's necessities, to be able to do the things that you want to do. But I do think a lot of people have forgotten, you know, that flying should still be manners. Yeah.
I think flying without wearing a tie should be an offence for gentlemen.
Exactly.
They should be deboarded immediately.
Right, okay. And on that bombshell, I think we should move on to the next story. Slightly out of order, I think, Carlos, if you're aware.
Yeah, so the next story comes to us from the ainonline.com, and this is about an aircraft that our missing member of the team actually flies. The Pilatus have refined PC-24 with new cabin and avionics features, and I've got to say, it looks blooming nice. Pilatus Aircraft has announced a slew of new cabin and avionics features for its PC-24 twin jet based on customer feedback, which is a really good idea, I must say, for manufacturers. For more than 50,000 hours of fleet operations, PC-24s coming off the production line going forward will include these features. Many, while can be retrofitted to in-service planes, the Swiss aircraft manufacturer has said. So in the cabin, new lie-flat seats provide more comfort, more innovative controls, lightweight controls, in addition to quick-release mechanisms to facilitate, blimey, this beer is rum stuff, rapid seating configuration changes in lieu of the standard forward left-hand coat closet. Operators may now opt for a galley with a microwave oven, coffee espresso maker, always a good one, work surface with ice storage and or capacity for standard catering units. But the bulk of the new features are on the flight deck and were developed in partnership with Honeywell. To start, a touchscreen controller is now standard, replacing the previous multifunction controllers. Meanwhile, the PC-24's flight control system now incorporates tactile feedback in both roll and pitch to prevent unintended unusual attitudes. This includes automatic roll limit and overspeed protection, even with the autopilot turned off. This can be manually overridden by the pilot with a quick disconnect button. The standard auto throttle system also now includes automatic under and overspeed protection, as well as refined FADEC software to reduce power oscillations in cruise and descent. A new automatic yaw trim function further reduces flight crew's workload during departure and climb by holding the aircraft to zero side slip. If one engine is inoperative or a large thrust asymmetry exists, the automatic yaw trim will attempt to maintain approximately 1/2 of a trapezoid indicated side slip. The new pilot-defined visual approach function allows the pilot to set up an autopilot and auto-throttle coupled visual approach to any runway, as well as precisely track a left-hand and right-hand or straight-in pattern down the runway threshold. According to Pilatus, this feature increases safety at uncontrolled airfields by allowing the pilot to keep his attention focused outside the aircraft to look for other air traffic. Among the new avionics features on the PC-24 are Honeywell's Smart Runway and Smart Landing advisory functions, which enhance safety and reduce pilot workload. Also available are VHF data link with AFIS and ACARS, graphical weather, Sirius XM satellite graphical weather, FMS for takeoff and landing data, TOLD or told, CPDL, cover the FANS 1 and A+ network, KMA 29 Alpha Bluetooth 3D audio panel with record and playback functions, and Honeywell RDR 7000 weather radar with predictive hail and lightning functions, ideal for Armando in his current situation. In addition, Pilatus recently certified and began offering the True Blue Power lithium-ion batteries, which provide an 84-pound reduction in empty weight.
And the thing I love about this show here is whilst you've been reading that out, this picture's just been sent in by Jonathan Warner, which is the Swiss Air Force variant, obviously, of which presumably, given what you were reading there, these upgrades could be easily added to.
Yes, they can add them to the older versions.
Yeah.
But the new ones coming off the production line will be fitted with all these all the bells and whistles on here. But some great. I'll tell you what, it is really good to hear a manufacturer listen to feedback from pilots as to what they want on the flight deck. So
also these smaller jets have got incredible capability to get in and out of smaller airports or airports that have low visibility, and the number of pilot aids in the aircraft is absolutely incredible. must make their lives a lot easier if you're not flying in and out of, big international airports all the time, for example. So phenomenal level of tech in the cockpit there.
Actually, I think John, our producer John, has put in the chat room that without all the trims and the bells and trimmings and whistles and stuff and bits and bobs, $11 million.
Oh, cheap then.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. I'll have 2 of those then, please. Yeah,
What's that? That would be a substantial Euro Millions win, I think.
I think it'd be a bit more than that.
I would want all the bells and whistles though.
Well, for those kind of prices, absolutely.
Do you not think, guys? This has been mentioned on a few shows before, on flight decks of, say, Airbuses, because I think they have them on there as well. But do you not think that touchscreens can be a bit, especially on the flight deck with the glare and stuff from coming through the windows, touchscreens could be a bit annoying after a greasy flight?
There's plenty of pictures, aren't there, of displays, even that aren't touchscreen actually, with just pilots pointing at things, and of course you get greasy marks all over it. I'm not sure that anyone's really conquered that properly, because there's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. It's all about the interface with the aircraft, isn't it? And the touch screen, as we know it, is just a fundamental part of what we do with things now, isn't it?
Is it not something...
to have something with proper buttons on it?
I was going to say, Mila's literally just said in the chat room here what was literally popping into my head there. Surely this isn't very COVID-proof.
I think in the current circumstances they have to do, I would imagine they do a lot of cleaning of the aircraft after every sector.
True.
Having said all that, of course, when this was all designed, there was no such thing as COVID-19.
And Richard Adams' point makes a very good point.
He does, absolutely, yeah.
Touchscreens often tricky in turbulence, because obviously when you're
bouncing
trying
around,
to touch the screen and your hand is giving it all this, you could push the wrong button.
It's a very technical analysis there, Carlos.
And I'm pleased to say that joining us back again after what was a rather heavy downpour and storm.
They do have touchscreens in the Dragon crew, the Crew Dragon apparently as well. The SpaceX
Armando,
thing, yeah.
Welcome back.
Oh, I am back. The hurricane party has already started. Everybody's safe. Only a couple buildings got torn down. Some trees. It's fine. Another Friday afternoon in North Carolina. Yes, touchscreens are terrible. We have on our G1000, which are not technically touchscreens, they're actually just button soft keys along the sides, along the bezel. And even then, we have placards on the aircraft that say, "Do not touch the screen," because it requires a special cleaning rag. And yes, in turbulence, touchscreens are terrible. However, some of these systems, like the Honeywell systems, Garmin systems, they'll still have some basic functionality with either a soft key setup along the sides or a controller in the middle. So I know the Honeywell systems, you can have a touchscreen, but it actually has in the pedestal between the pilots, there's a keyboard with a trackball type thing. So there's usually some kind of redundant system built into it. It's not great when you're getting bumped around, but most of these jets are, they're at 38,000 feet, 36,000 feet. They're above the weather, and it's pretty good for 80% of your flying.
Like it, yeah. So, yes, are you ready to go with our next story, Armando?
So we're going to go over to the FAA. Now, this comes from, the article was put out by EAA, who has a dog in this fight. But on Thursday, or this last Thursday, the FAA released a yet-to-be-published policy addressing the issue of training and compensation for hire in experimental, primary, and limited category aircraft. So this policy follows up on a letter from the agency last month that asserted that without exception, no compensated flight training can take place in these aircraft categories without an exemption or a letter of deviation authority from the FAA. Now that policy, this was actually done by a court that may not have been so well versed in aviation, but that had some tremendous impacts throughout the industry, because the FAA's position came out that any instructor operating an aircraft, regardless of who owns it or otherwise operates it, is being compensated. That aircraft is being used for hire. Therefore, paying an instructor that's providing training violated the language that was interpreted in Part 91 for Part 91.315 for limited categories, 0.319 for experimentals, and then for primary aircraft 0.325. Those are the sections. So why this is important, so I owned an experimental aircraft, right? A Lancer is an experimental, so is Glass Air, many experimental amateur built aircraft out there. And I could not use that aircraft for hire. It was something that I knew going into it. Where this ruling and interpretation really came out is because of the mishaps that have happened recently with the warbirds. So the B-17 crash in Massachusetts a couple years ago now. There was a DC-3 or C-47 that crashed down in Texas. Some of your fighter type warbirds. The organizations are using the revenue from those rides to maintain those aircraft in an educational capacity. These are nonprofit organizations. The FAA came down and said, you can no longer operate those airplanes for hire. So what they did, it was just a blanket, fire blanket over special airworthiness certificates, which inadvertently included the warbirds, which are limited, the experimental, which is just a whole type of airplanes, and then a restricted category airplane, which are like your fire bombers, your weather control, aerial advertising, so like banner towers and all that stuff. And it was just this one court ruling that really just went across. Max Trescott did a great little segment on it, but it just had this ripple effect across the industry. Why this is important is that they're kind of backtracking on it and kind of clarifying that everybody relax. For the time being, get your letter of deviation authority from the FAA, but we're taking a look at it because this would have put all flight instructors and basically anybody that's exchanging either money or goods for flying, it would have put them into an air carrier, like a Part 135 certificate, which the paperwork to get a Part 135 certificate is terrible. It takes years and takes a lot of money, and your average flight school can't do that. So that's why this was in there. If this affects you, go over to eaa.org. They have a really good story on it, or you can just follow all the stories on coming out from the FAA about those rulings. So.
Very cool. It's a very detailed story, really, isn't it? It's. I mean, do you think it's going to have a major impact on this particular aircraft?
So it was going to have a significant impact on basically experimental amateur built aircraft,
right?
Experimental exhibition aircraft. Everybody was basically just going to have to come to a halt, which is really, really dangerous because you want training in a high performance aircraft like this, whether it's limited or experimental. And this was going to put a kibosh on all that. So this doesn't affect your standard airworthiness certificates,
right? Which
is like your Cessnas, Pipers,
okay,
airliners. All of that stuff has a standard and either normal or utility airworthiness certificate. But,
okay,
this is for very unique, but it's big here in the U.S. Well, yeah, in the U.S.
But, and also, I mean, again, I guess where I'm going with this, because it where you think at a time where there's a lot of very experimental aircraft going out there. I mean, only earlier in the show we're talking about the electric revolution. I mean, is this potentially gonna put a bosh on testing in the US with that sort of aircraft?
Yes, this would have affected, that ruling would have affected those aircraft because currently they're either experimental or restricted until the FAA figures out its process to issue a standard airworthiness certificate for an eVTOL. all of those aircraft fall under this category. So if you wanted to go out and buy one, it would have legally dubious to get training or use it for hire.
Wow. Okay, well, let's hope they get that all ironed out very soon, I think, then. I think we're staying with you for the next story, Armando.
Okay, so I believe we're going to C10. This is Oshkosh related, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Love a bit of Oshkosh.
I love talking about Oshkosh. It's now just a few weeks away. Humanitarian aircraft and their missions are going to be highlighted this year at Oshkosh 2021. Now, we've already talked about Air Force Special Operations being highlighted. Actually, there was a really cool video put out by the Air Force this week. But this year, Oshkosh is going to host a special attraction this year that's going to highlight these humanitarian aircraft that focus on providing medical and relief assistance to those in need around the world. The aircraft and organizations are among those that will be part of a salute to humanitarian aviation during this flying convention from July 26th to August 1st up in Oshkosh. So some of the aircraft that are going to come out, some of these have visited before. They're really cool airplanes. So the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital, this is an MD-10 or DC-10. Technically, it's an MD-10 that travels around the world to provide eye care, such as cataract surgeries and glaucoma treatments to local hospitals in countries that have limited or non-existent access. This is inside the airplane that they do this. The Samaritan's Purse DC-8, beautiful classic airplane. This is the flagship airplane of this organization that delivers tons and tons of food, medicine, supplies to aid to victims of war, natural disasters, and other emergencies. The UPS 747-8 freighter. This aircraft was in Oshkosh, I believe, in 2019. And we all took a tour. I know Captain Al was there, and Jeff and Nick. We took a tour. It's just a massive airplane. But that particular airplane delivered over 400 million COVID-19 vaccines and tons of personal protective equipment to fight the pandemic. The Cessna 208 Caravan, that's a workhorse airplane. The Remote Area Medical Organization's aircraft has 3 pop-up medical clinics in it, in a Caravan, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the Air Force's C-17 aircraft, which actually has a negatively pressurized Connex. It's a shipping container with windows on it, has pressurized air in it to make sure that if you have a really, really contagious virus, I think we did some stories on this at the beginning of the pandemic. You remember the plastic sheeting inside the airplane and all that. So they're going to be featuring that aircraft at Oshkosh this year, and it's especially important coming out of the pandemic. So if you're going to be at Oshkosh, some more cool airplanes to go check out.
And actually, just mentioning, we did a piece back in 2017, would you believe, on the Orbis Eye Hospital, episode 197, if anybody wants to
I had a good
take a
tour
look at that. Yeah, absolutely, back in the day.
Yeah.
Where was that? Can you remember? Where was that?
That was when I went to. That was my first trip to Dubai Air Show.
Okay, cool.
I was lucky enough to get on the tour of the Ibis Flying Eye Hospital, and had a really good look around all the operating theatres and
so cool.
all the running of the aircraft. It was very good.
So cool, indeed. Well, there we go.
Right. So Nev, you've got the last story, and it's definitely an interesting one.
Yes. Now, I'm slightly confused. It's on simpleflying.com. Headline says Zimbabwean low-cost carrier FastJet starts ticket sales in chicken restaurants. Now, I didn't know that chickens had their own restaurants.
Right, good point. Yes.
To read on to find out more about this. It says the Zimbabwean low-cost airline FastJet has partnered with Simbisa Brands to allow its customers to purchase tickets at Chicken Inn restaurants across Zimbabwe. Before visiting the restaurant to pay for your ticket, you must first visit FastJet's website or any FastJet shop or airport office. Next, you must select which currency you wish to use to pay for the ticket, while remembering that payments for FastJet FastJet tickets can only be in US dollars or Zimbabwe dollars. Once you've selected your booking, you'll be given a confirmation number. Please note this number as you will need it to purchase your ticket at any of the 72 Chicken Inn restaurants across Zimbabwe. When paying for your ticket at a Chicken Inn, you'll need to provide the cashier with your booking confirmation number, your surname, and the currency you selected for payment. Once you have paid for your ticket, you'll receive a receipt from Chicken Inn and receive an email with a new booking number. This will serve as proof that you have paid for your ticket. When a reporter from Zimbabwe's largest newspaper, The Herald, asked FastJet about the deal with Simbisa Brands, an airline spokesman said, "We are adding more choice to the FastJet flight booking cycle. Our objective is to provide our customers with convenient payment options to secure their FastJet flight bookings." Chicken Inn's wide restaurant network makes them well positioned to reach various customer segments across Zimbabwe. The partnership speaks on our values of flexibility and choice.
I have so many questions.
There are articles that I read out, and I try to get with the, keep with the program.
Yes,
clearly.
Yes, of course.
But there are a lot of questions.
There are
probably no answers available either.
I mean, first of all, let's be honest. It ain't no KFC, is it? And that's essentially what we're talking about here. I mean, can you ever imagine? Let's talk. It's not finger licking good, quite, Mark. I completely agree. There is. Can you imagine a scenario, Nev, where, for example, is this the Zimbabwean flag carrier, for want of a better word? This particular.
It's a low cost carrier.
It's a low cost one. Okay, all right. So it's a bit like Ryanair selling their tickets at KFC.
Well, you see, now you put it like that. I'm actually thinking that there is a possible market for this now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is that people have got. I mean, let's face it. With the flying business being completely devastated over the last 18 months, people have got to look for new and innovative and easy ways for people to do stuff, haven't they? So this may be one of those extraordinary marketing strategies that turns out to be an absolute winner.
Micah says that it's just a foul
you could
story.
Say winner, chicken dinner.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I mean, I get what you're saying, Nev, but nice. Richard Adams is saying, "Do you want flies with that?" No, okay, no, nobody. Laura Davis is saying, "Why did the chicken cross the road to buy a FastJet ticket? Apparently, which is a good point."
Somebody in the chat room can double check me, but I believe that logo said "Love that chicken."
It did.
That's already taken. That's taken by Popeye's Chicken here in the U.S. But hey, what are you gonna do?
I mean, is it a franchise? I mean, does the logo look vaguely familiar to the?
It's certainly not anything we have here.
Okay. I mean, wow. Yeah, it is Love That Chicken. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, but it ain't finger licking good, as we were discussing earlier. So
I love Micah's. This is just a foul story.
It is a foul story. I agree.
And try reading Miles High's comment after drinking a few pints of beer. Come on, try it, Matt.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Thanks, Miles High. We could get taken off air for this. A buck off a bucket of cluck. There you go. That was a risky game, wasn't it?
It's a tongue twister.
Trying to get us taken. Look, we've already survived one copyright strike this week. Let's not get sued for bad language, shall we? Wow. Okay. So there we go. It's. I literally don't know what to say to that story. I really don't know.
Well, can I just point out that it wasn't me, Matt, Nev, or Armando who found that story. It was our producer John.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I mean,
there we go.
I mean, all jokes aside, though, I suppose it's one of those. You look at the picture here. You think, well, in a time where, as Nev was saying, the aviation industry has essentially been completely decimated by what's been going on. you know, is it a very sensible cost? I mean, I don't know if I'd tie myself up with a chicken restaurant, but, you know, you could sort of understand why you might. I mean, I suppose, you know, you used to be able to buy.
Would you rather a kebab?
No, you know, it's a bit, you know, it's a bit like, you know, Chan's restaurant selling tickets for Loganair, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit sort of, you know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I don't know. It's just, it's an interesting sort of. It's not as. I don't know if I'd tie myself with a chicken restaurant, but I can see why. You know, where
I'm hungry now.
No, where I'm going with this is like loads of people have. You know, you used to be able to buy airplane tickets from a travel agent. I mean, technically, that's no different. If you see what I mean, because the payment is still taken by the travel agent and then just passed on to, you know, the airline directly. So I guess it's just an extension of that. But you'd sort of, you know, you'd think you'd like go into a WH Smith's or the equivalent thereof to purchase your ticket rather than, you know, I'll buy one airplane ticket and I'll have a bucket of chicken, please. I mean, it just doesn't sort of.
The puns and quotes are just coming.
Are
heavily
they right? Okay.
Room. Yeah, I think.
Okay, indulge me, please, because I can't see the chat room.
Oh, blimey! There's a lot of clucking and plucking going on.
Okay, all right. A clucking good deal, if you ask me, says Laura. That's very good.
Rakon says, "Want to fly to China? You know where to buy your ticket."
Okay. Anyway, on the subject of catching competitions,
Micah makes a good point actually. Couldn't sell them at subways. You might end up on the train.
Oh, I see. Right. Yes. Okay. That could cause unnecessary confusion. Yeah. I will give you that. Yeah. We're going to take a very quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Well, welcome to our London studios. Welcome to the A320 Lounge webinar. Tech presentation, obviously for the 320 series.
Welcome to the A320 and 737 Lounge, bringing technical refresher courses directly to you. Using our cutting-edge broadcasting facilities, enjoy a fully interactive technical refresher course from the comfort of your own home. All of our webinars are live and you can ask your instructor a question at any point during the day. All of our instructors are highly experienced and can help you. No more expensive nights away from home, no new software required, just an internet connection. Courses are run at regular intervals, so check out A320 Lounge and 737lounge.com for more details.
And welcome back. So we have got the next part of the show lined up, ready. Hopefully, Matt's got it in the big
I
computer.
have.
And as you know, each week on our Facebook page, for those of you who follow, hopefully those of you who are on the Book of Face will follow us. And we run a little caption this just for fun each week, where we put a picture up on Facebook and we ask you guys and girls to give us your funniest and wittiest comment on said picture. So if Matt pops up the picture for this week on the screen, there we go.
That's quite a set of tyres. There's no two ways about that.
Armando, you're probably best person to comment on what the aircraft is and what kind of tyres, because I think these are bigger than Tundra tyres.
I think it certainly had a modification, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the backcountry cowboys are taking this to a whole new level. This appears to be what is a Piper Cub or something similar to it. Very classic little airplane on some rugged terrain. I'm guessing New Mexico, Colorado. But I think the wheels, the tires, are straight off of Gravedigger. Do you guys remember Monster Trucks?
Yeah, Monster Trucks.
Yeah, Monster Trucks. I remember Monster Trucks. Yeah.
I think the airplane is probably 8 feet high, and the tires, the two mains are maybe 12 feet tall with a nice tail wheel off of a DC-3 or something in the back.
It's quite the image.
What are some of the creativity?
I'd love to see this aircraft in action.
Right. Okay. I mean, I don't know if it'd be a get off the ground because of the weight involved. I think to be fair.
Well, Tony S has actually solved that problem.
Right.
They're filled with helium.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Genius.
That's a solution.
Yeah. So we've had some great comments in as well this week, as always. We're going to start off with Jenny, who says these boots are made for walking.
Nice indeed. We've got Jeffrey, who says you can stop on a dime. I can stop on a car.
And Dirk says, write about what you need for publicity-operated airport runways these days.
Yeah,
Very
definitely
publicly.
right.
Sorry,
Publicly,
I
yeah.
messed that up. For publicly operated airport runways.
I'll tell you what, you'd laugh. You could before the runway at Ella was resurfaced recently. You could have done with that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Armando, you want to take next one?
He's not able
Let's
to.
see.
Oh, right.
No, I got it up and working. So
Okay.
James says, gear down 3 green, altitude 50.
Matt says, this is lovely. I love this one. Matt says, not our Matt. This is
No,
Matt.
it's a bit too
says,
technical for me. Yeah.
When you're tired of reading NOTAMs.
Very appropriate, especially what we
Tired.
took. Yes, yes, indeed,
Yes.
spelt a certain way. Absolutely. Bob says Piper Swamp Buggy. I think that's the future. Nev, what have we got?
Andy says, wheelie good picture, that.
I see. Right.
Oh, Richard says, this is great. An air tractor?
And Dari makes a good point here. No danger of flipping over.
Well, no, quite. I think
good.
you're in fairly safe hands there. Or anything come in on the chat room?
Lee Davies actually says says Who needs a runway?
Good point. Yeah,
Very good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Richard Adams, truck cycle geared. He says, yeah.
I like that one. Yes,
John, our producer John, says, you know what they say about big tyres?
right. Small feet.
Small runways.
Small runways, yes.
Small runways.
I see what you did there. Yeah, small runways, definitely.
So thank you to everyone who took part in this week's Caption This. Don't forget, we'll be putting another picture on our Facebook page next Wednesday. So if you don't already follow us on Facebook, make sure you go over and give us a like and a follow on Facebook. Just search for us, Plain Talking UK Podcast. So look for us on there.
Indeed.
So we're going to hand things over to, hopefully, Armando, who will not get blown away by a hurricane or a tornado, and will take over the next part of the show.
Yeah, guys, I'm looking up at the skies. They are incredibly gray still, which inspires me. Let's go talk gray. Matt, hit the button.
That Nev immediately ran away then.
Literally, as soon as I said gray, he fell out of his chair, rolled out of his studio, and now he's gone. Hey, listen, so I'm glad we do the news because this was a good one. I actually learned something new on this, and so I self-educated here. This is from thedrive.com, talking about the State Department's new Black Hawk helicopters in Afghanistan and how they could prove especially important after the U.S. troop withdrawal. So some of the newest additions to the U.S. State Department's Air Wing are ex-U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopters of various types that are now flying in Afghanistan. Though the State Department has been conducting a variety of aviation operations there for more than a decade now. But these new Black Hawks are providing support to the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. Now, this is a mission that could have been even more important, or could be even more important in the coming months and weeks as the final withdrawal of the American military forces from the country continues to move ahead at a increased pace, and the security situation continues to, be a little tenuous. So the presence of the State Department Blackhawks in Afghanistan, they have a very unique paint scheme, and Matt's going to pop up the pictures here. It's a blue over gray paint scheme with a red line across the center of the fuselage. That was actually highlighted back in April when U.S. Secretary of State at the time, Anthony Blinken, traveled to Afghanistan. Those are the wrong pictures, Matt. So I think we're going to go to the other story with the helicopters. And let's see, these at least 3 of these helicopters were used during that mission. If you're interested, the tail numbers were November 35 Whiskey November, 36 Lima November, and 771 Whiskey Charlie. They're all different variants of the HH-60. In Army service, the 60s have been steadily replaced by newer HH-60 Mike models, which are primarily configured for casualty evacuation missions. These are kind of distinguishable from the UH-60 utility variants because they have a duckbill like little sponson on their nose. It's got a sensor turret and some terrain following radar type stuff. But anyway, so these State Department helicopters, pretty cool looking. They're, I think, going to be very, very important in the coming months to shuttle as the military departs and the State Department really takes on a more additional diplomacy or a diplomatic role in the country. Very, very cool to see these helicopters in action. There's a good question for the chat room is how many agencies outside of the military operate Blackhawks? I'll leave that. I'll you guys can respond to us on WhatsApp or YouTube if you know it in the chat room, or you can shoot us a message on Facebook. And don't Google it. You got to tell me. And Jonathan Warner is.
I have a question, Armando. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
After all the equipment and the stuff that the Royal Air Force and the military use in this country, which we've brought from US manufacturers, how come do you think we haven't bothered buying something like the UH-60 Black Hawk, which is obviously proven to be a blooming good helicopter? Why do you think?
That's a great question that you should ask your parliamentarians.
I just think after everything that we've brought in our Air Force and stuff, that we've never thought of buying a UH-60. I just think, I remember there were talks of the Osprey being acquired by the UK, but at the end of the day, I think they that never materialized. But I mean, some of the helicopters that you guys have are incredibly capable, but there is something to be said about a mass-produced helicopter that has service and parts all over the world and it's proven capabilities. But write your MP and you can find out.
We have some guesses in the chat room apparently. So if somebody could pop them up, because I haven't got the chat room in front of me here. Oh, Jonathan Warner says no idea. That's a great help.
It's kind of the same guesses, right? Jonathan Warner says the Merlin. I know the Puma is used quite a bit in special operations. The there's
Mila's guessing 7.
The 7. Now you guys did buy the Chinook, right? That's a good point. From Jonathan Warner. So the Chinook is
the Apache we've got.
You guys have Apaches. You have Chinooks. Yep.
Yeah.
So why not the Black Hawk? Who knows? That's a good question.
There you go. Well,
Mila says, is anyone else humming the Airwolf song? Love that series.
Oh man, I saw Airwolf was a Bell helicopter.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a Bell 212 or something like that. And I saw one flying over Lake Norman the other day when we were. This sounds bougie, but we were on a boat on Lake Norman, and there was this helicopter flying over, and I was like, like humming the Airwolf song, and nobody on the boat got it. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, it's a great series. That I'm amazed they never brought it back. Do you know what I mean? Because it was one of those things, wasn't it? That was just so cool. It was. Am I the only one that used to find it super cool with the theme tune and all that kind of thing?
Airwolf was so good.
Even Mila in the chat room is saying she loved the theme song.
There you go. Love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely.
Yeah, careful copyright.
Yeah. That'll do.
Actually, you were right, Armando. It was based on a Bell 222.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, how many agencies? Seriously, Armando, how many agencies were there actually?
Oh, I don't know.
It was
right. I don't know the answer.
Rude. Okay, fair enough.
And I can still hear the Airwolf theme on my ear.
Oh, okay. All right then. You can't now. It's gone now. Don't panic. Yeah.
We just have to talk over it so we don't get the copyright violation.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It's all good. Don't panic.
So moving on to the next story in all seriousness. This one is coming from the APnews.com, and we talk about at the top of the show. The Philippine military plane crash. 45 dead, but 49 rescue. Manila, we go to for this one in the Philippines. A Philippine Air Force C-130 aircraft carrying combat troops assigned to fight Muslim militants crashed and exploded while landing in the south on Sunday, killing at least 42 army soldiers on board and 3 civilians on the ground in one of the worst disasters in the Air Force's history. At least 49 other soldiers were rescued with injuries and survived the fiery noontime crash into a coconut grove outside the Jolo airport in Sulu province, including some who managed to jump off the aircraft before it exploded and was gutted by fire, military officials have said. 3 of 7 villagers who were hit on the ground also died, sadly. The aircraft had 96 on board, including 3 pilots, 5 crew, while the rest were army personnel, the military said, adding only 5 soldiers remained unaccounted for late on Sunday. The pilot survived but was seriously injured, officials have said. The Lockheed C-130 Hercules involved was one of 2 ex-US Air Force aircraft handed over to the Philippines as part of military assistance this year. Officials said the injured personnel were brought to a hospital in Sulu or flown to nearby Zamboanga Air City, and troops were continuing to search for the missing. A number of soldiers were seen jumping out of the aircraft before it hit the ground, sparing them from the explosion caused by the crash, a military statement said, citing witnesses. Initial pictures released by the military, as we showed on the show just now, showed a tail section of the cargo plane relatively intact. The other parts of the aircraft were burned or scattered in pieces in a clearing surrounded by coconut trees. Soldiers and other rescuers with stretchers were seen dashing to and from the smoke-shrouded crash site, where a dark grey smoke billowed shortly after impact. The plane was transporting troops, many of them soldiers who had just undergone basic training from the southern Cagayan de Oro city for development in Sulu, officials said. They were supposed to join us in our fight against terrorism, Sulu military commander Major General William Gonzalez said. Government forces have been battling Abu Sayyaf militants in the predominantly Muslim province of Sulu for decades. It was not immediately clear what caused the crash. Regional military commander Lieutenant General Corleto Vinluan said it was unlikely that the aircraft took hostile fire and cited a witness saying that it appeared to have overshot the runway and then crashed on the periphery of the airport. Military Chief of Staff General Carolito Sobiana told reporters that the plane missed the runway and was trying to regain power, but failed and crashed. An Air Force official told the AP that the Jolo runway is shorter than most other runways in the country, making it more difficult for pilots to adjust if an aircraft misses the landing spot. The official, who has flown military aircraft to and from Jolo several times, spoke on condition of anonymity because of a lack of authority to speak publicly. Initial pictures show that the weather was apparently fine in Sulu, although other parts of the Philippines were experiencing rains due to an approaching tropical depression. The airport in Sulu's main town of Jolo is located a few kilometers from mountainous areas where troops have battled Abu Sayyaf's militants, and some militants have aligned themselves with the Islamic State group. Now, these aircraft, obviously, were they gifted to? I think they were gifted to the country, weren't they, Armando?
They were. This particular aircraft, I think it was 2014. It went over to the Philippines, and it was an H model. From what I understand, it was an H model C-130. But like Miles said in the chat room, that anybody survived this is amazing. And I believe the death toll is now up to 50 plus the 3 that were on the ground. So 53 total. But I'm very interested, and I'm not sure that we'll ever know, maybe we will, maybe we won't, how these individuals managed to get off of this airplane. Initially, I thought maybe they had parachutes and they bailed out, or they managed to bail out before, as the aircraft was going towards the ground, or once an emergency was recognized, or did it hit the runway and then kind of bounce and then they made it out before the aircraft was consumed by the fire. Very, very interesting, but incredibly lucky for the 40 or so soldiers that managed to get out of this airplane.
I'm right in thinking, Armando, being as these were ex-US Air Force planes, they would have been really, really well looked after during their service.
Yeah, they are. Once they leave your hands, you kind of don't, it's up in the air what the host nation or the partner nation can do with them. That's an ongoing problem with a lot of the aircraft that we either supply or sell to other countries. Is do they have the capability and the expertise to maintain them to the right levels? But we won't know. This may have just been a pure pilot error. But that's speculation, so I have no idea.
So, Matt, you've got the next story. It's all about the Canberra, which is quite exciting.
Indeed, yes. Now, the story was sent to us actually by Ray Davis via Facebook Messenger, so thank you, Ray, for that. And as I say, it comes from Facebook. And the headline is Canberra returns to the sky. English Electric Canberra TT-18, one of 11 aircraft in the Royal Australian Air Force's RAAF 100 Squadron Temora Historic Flight Collection, returns to flight. Monday the 28th of June 2021 saw the Canberra return to the skies after being grounded for nearly 11 years. The Canberra was last flown on the 5th of June 2010. It was due for scheduled NDT, that's non-destructive testing, which then led to a much larger restoration. The restoration process included converting the highly corrosive cartridge start engines to electric start engines, ensuring the longevity of this aircraft. We thank our amazing engineering team, RAAF 100 Squadron, and many third-party contractors, both in Australia and overseas, for all their hard work and commitment. This strike work and persistence ensured that the RAAF 100 Squadron Temora Historic Flight Canberra could once again be the only flying example in Australia. The first public display is scheduled for the aircraft showcase on the 9th and 10th of October in Temora. There we go. Very interesting. Nice story. And again, thanks to Ray Davis for sending that in. It's nice to see something in the air, isn't it? Actually, sort of having been restored, because you do worry when this extensive work, it worries you that something's gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? When they're busy looking so closely at like airframes and things, and restoration's going to take longer, and you just think, is this thing ever going to fly again?
Actually, you remember, Nev, when we went to the Cold War Jets Day at Bruntingthorpe a few years back. Do you remember they had one of these Canberras there? They done they done the start. Do you remember they had the guys who were getting the engine started, and the plumes of smoke when the engines on these started up?
Yeah, it's not a straightforward thing at all, is it?
Yeah.
But, no, absolutely fantastic to see aircraft restored in this way, isn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah. The cartridge start engines.
That's it.
Like who thought of that, to put an explosive cordite charge in a little cartridge in a jet airplane, and then have it pop off to turn the turbine enough to start getting some air in it. I love it when you're introducing explosive charge into an extremely volatile airplane full of
old aircraft. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, right. I remember that, by the way. I was at Bruntingthorpe that year with you guys. 2018, 2017, 2018.
There are still some very modified versions of them flying for NASA, apparently, Mayman Micah is saying.
Oh, didn't know that.
There you go. You heard it here first. Or, well, no, because Micah already knew, obviously, but you know what I mean. Indeed. Is my audio better now, by the way? Because you seem very distressed by what you've been hearing coming back from me.
Just fine.
Okay, good.
I hear you just fine.
Excellent. Oh, hello, the bells.
Oh, that means the show's over.
Right, okay, that's it. It means it's 9 o'clock. There we are. We're all done and dusted. Yeah.
So we are going to start to wrap up the show, but we are going to have a quick go over our social medias for those who may not already follow us on social media. Don't forget to search for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Plain Talking UK, and also that WhatsApp number +44 757 22 is the number to send your aviation-related pictures to if you want them on the green screens behind the walls here. I know Jonathan Warner is very good at doing that for us. Also, you can email the show, podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. We'd love to hear some feedback from you guys and girls. If you want to send us an email, we'd love to hear from you. And also, don't forget our website, allthews.plaintalkinguk.com. If you take yourselves over there, you'll find the links to our shop where you can purchase a P2UK t-shirt and also a P2UK mug, which can be used for drinking many things, including beers and wines. You can also find our links on there to our Patreon as well, and PayPal if you want to become a Patreon member of the show and a PayPal donator to the show. A few quid, we don't mind. It all helps to push the show forward and enables us to bring you the content that we do on the show. And don't forget, for those of you who do subscribe via Patreon and PayPal, those all important videos that are being released now to you guys on there, which show a bit of an insight into Armando's life in the US and the amazing flying that he does with the aircraft. So make sure that if you are a Patreon or PayPal subscriber, that you check those videos as well.
Yeah.
Yes, there are other videos in the process of being thought about, worked on and done, so there'll be some more coming soon as well. And also, don't forget the Amazon link, which I'll be using tomorrow because I've got to make some Amazon orders, so I shall be using that. The Amazon link, which helps us with a small referral fee if you use the link. Doesn't cost you a penny, but does help us a little bit as well on there. And also, just don't forget to like us, subscribe, and give us a review if you download via iTunes or any other podcast provider. We really would appreciate that very much indeed. So what's going on? Quickly, round robin with everyone. So we're going to go for Nev first. What is Mr. Bounds up to next week?
Back to work next week. A couple of days in London. Yes, a hectic week by the looks of things, I'm pleased to say. So, yes, London is getting a bit busier now too, I'm pleased to say. So people are slowly going back to their offices.
Oh, dear. I mean, that's kind of good and kind of bad in one way, because suddenly London is difficult to negotiate again.
It can be. But,
Quite.
we'll see how we get on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Armando, what are you doing next week?
Yeah, like I said, flying Air Cadets all day tomorrow. I think I have 4 or 5 flights, and then skydivers on Sunday. And then just to continue on the vacation, I think Megan and I are gonna leave the kid with the grandparents and head down to Greenville, South Carolina, and take a couple of days off from our offness.
It's a hard life, isn't it? It's such a hard life. Bless him. He deserves it, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but when we go fast.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or from a plane.
Go fast or go home, I think.
Go fast or go home with a parachute.
Indeed.
And Matt, what are you doing next week?
Not much over the weekend, to be honest with you, because
Sunday show.
Well, yes, I've got a Sunday show, but the reason why I won't be doing much this weekend is because starting on Monday for a whole week, I will be covering the Park Radio Breakfast Show from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. here in the UK. So if anybody is I don't know what time that is in the States, probably not, unless you're on nights, it's no good to you. But yeah, so I will be on Park Radio. You can ask your smart speaker to play Park Radio, and also you can go to the website parkradio.co.uk. I will be on the radio 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Not 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's a long shift. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Every day this week, anyway. Covering the Chris Moyes Breakfast Show. So there you go.
Looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to my updates on the traffic of Dis.
I know. I shall be there. Don't panic. Don't panic.
Indeed. And John, what are you up to? Just out of interest.
Nothing. Hello, John.
Really interesting. Really interesting. Absolutely fantastic.
I've got my second wedding of the year.
What?
Tomorrow night. Woohoo!
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazeballs.
So that's it then, guys and girls. Have a safe and fun weekend. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. Stay safe. And don't forget to tune in next Friday and on the show and join us all back again next Friday. So from me, Carlos, from Matt, from Nev, from Armando before he gets blown away, and from our awesome producer, John, thank you, everyone. Take care. See you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.